Today we celebrate Celia's life. And even though our celebration is with a heavy heart, we praise our Heavenly Father, who through Jesus Christ provides strength and encouragement in life's most difficult times. Adam has prepared a little. He wasn't planning on doing this, but I'm glad that you chose to, Adam. Adam, come and tell us what you wrote for Celia.
I was going to wing it, and then this morning I started writing, and I had my wife proofread it it's okay. Just want to say first and foremost, thank you to everyone here. It's an amazing turnout for a lot of people didn't get to meet Celia. I know some friends were touring, and they wrote me, they're like, man, I was coming back too, and I wanted to meet her so bad. Eduardo, to answer your question, there's a video I'm going to show later, and there's a reveal party, and my sister made me cut you out at the end where it says, me and Adam are connected. Because he had his pen, he was showing off his pen. It's a long video, dude. I just, shaved here and there. I want to thank everyone for joining us today to celebrate our daughter Celia's life. I just wrote this today, so I'm probably going to be looking down a lot, so I apologize. We wanted the memorial this weekend since tomorrow is Mother's Day, and it's only fitting that it's the day Celia started her journey last year to be with us. Dawn didn't like it when I told people that I called it, and that I gave her the best Mother's Day present ever. Speaking of Mother's Day, I kind of throwing this out there is that I know it's going to be hard for Dawn tomorrow, but it's going to be really painful for Dawn actually because she's actually getting a tattoo tomorrow. She's always wanted a tattoo, but she's getting Celia's footprints with wings on the very back of her. So I'm very proud of her for doing that. And I'm saying this out loud so she has to do it. Because for Father's Day, I'm supposed to get her handprint with like a burst, so I'm throwing it out there, so I have to do it. Dawn had a photo shoot done with her friend Celia and surprised me on Father's Day with a photo of our daughter Sienna holding up a sign saying, I'm going to be a big sister. And I immediately started to cry. I was just so happy. We were on a trip to Yosemite with Dawn's family, and we felt we had to tell them, even though it was early on in the pregnancy. And for those of you who know me, I'm super superstitious. Like she's like, I can wait 3 months before I tell anybody. So this was literally like a couple of weeks after we found out. We climbed this huge, beautiful waterfall, and once we got to the top, we announced the coming of our new baby. It was the most beautiful setting we can ever imagine. When my wife has been pregnant, I like to do everything for her. I kind of stretch myself thin, but it's comforting to know that she is really doing the hard work, and I want her pregnancy to be an enjoyable one. We had no doubt in our minds that we were going to have a baby girl. We didn't tell a lot of people that we were pregnant, so we had a party, which was really a surprise. We are pregnant and gender reveal party at the same time. We had a chalkboard with a tally of votes for boy or girl and buttons to represent their side. Most people voted for a boy, as he said. It was a fun way to tell people close to us before we announced it on any social media sites. In all the screening and tests Dawn had, no one had any clue that our daughter was born with microcephaly. Sorry. We even had 3D ultrasounds and everything appeared normal. The night Celia was born, my wife waited to the last minute, she let me sleep in, to leave for the hospital. Because of Sienna, we got turned away a couple times. So she wanted to make sure it was, she was due. She wanted to make sure she wouldn't be turned away. We spent more time in the prep room waiting to be admitted than for Celia's birth. The midwife lied to my wife and told her that she could get an epidural. When we got into the room, Dawn was ready to push. I asked if I had time to get my cameras from the car. She said no, but I told Dawn to hold on, and I ran so fast downstairs to the car outside. And when I was running back up the stairs, I heard the guard yell, "Congratulations!" I got back in the room and asked if I had time to set up the cameras, and the midwife said no again. I just whipped out my tripods out. I had 3-camera angle, I had everything. You won't see any of those angles on the video. I got my handheld recorder ready, and as soon as I hit record, Celia started to come out. 2 pushes. Couldn't be prouder. She couldn't wait to be born. My wife was in so much pain, but it was so worth it. I was fine. Dawn's first words were, "She's so little." So it's you that was kicking my butt all this time. Because you'll see a video again. She was a little Godzilla in there. Celia didn't cry when she was born. She appeared fine, but she just didn't cry. It took a lot of people to make her cry. Even when she got her first shots, all she did was 2 short, and that was it. And that entire night, too, she barely cried when she was hungry. That was it. We still didn't know anything was wrong with Celia until we woke up that morning in the hospital. Celia was born with microcephaly. It's a condition in which a person's head is significantly smaller than normal for their age and sex based on standardized charts. We were expecting to leave the hospital immediately, but instead had to stay an extra day for testing. Dawn had to stay in bed, so I went with Celia to all her tests. We had an ultrasound done to see if there was any hemorrhaging in the brain, any signs of a stroke in the womb. Her hearing test took a little longer because one ear almost didn't pass. She passed all her tests. She passed all her blood tests to see if they had a specific virus that led to microcephaly. Celia just wanted to be home. We had to wait for the genetic testing to get back a few weeks later. We saw an eye doctor when Celia had trouble focusing, a neurologist as well. The genetics doctor told us this analogy in describing Celia's genes. Now, for those of us that can remember, encyclopedias. So she described it as Celia had the encyclopedias from A to Z, and each page in those books. Now, the only thing they couldn't pinpoint is if she had every single word on every single page, because genes are just a vast, enormous. Like you need a focal point to focus on something to find out what is wrong, and they didn't have the resources, they didn't know. But she passed everything again. And all I told them on that day was I just wanted to enjoy my baby. Like I was tired of the testing, and she said to do that. She's like, just enjoy your baby, and we did. The very next day we left the hospital, we went out shopping. Like we had no qualms about leaving. Celia was most at peace out and about. She loved the outdoors. Dawn would take her outside in the front of our house to calm her down. Even though she didn't use it very much, I moved her baby swing into our sunroom so the wind and sunshine helped her calm her down to sleep. 90% of Celia's life was in Dawn's arms. The things she hated most were car rides because she was so far away from us. Even though we had a co-sleeper, Celia slept in our bed. It was just easier for Dawn to put her down at night. On our Egyptian king bed, I literally had the width of my body at the very edge of the bed. Celia had the whole middle section by herself, and Dawn was close by. I even had the dogs in between my legs. But once the dogs got more comfortable, they started to lay at Celia's feet. Celia would even sometimes scoot close to Dawn in the middle of the night just so she could touch her. I would wake up to her sleeping next to me, and I would stretch, and she would stretch right alongside me. She was Daddy's little girl. 2 big trips we took Celia on was to New York and Lake Tahoe. We didn't take Sienna with us to New York because we weren't sure how the baby would do. Amazing is how she did. The Big Apple was home to her. The only reason why we wanted to go to New York was to see someone who changed my life at 16 and later became my brother, James Agahart, perform on Broadway as a genie in the new musical Aladdin. The day before she passed, he was nominated for his first Tony nomination for a male actor in a featured role. My sister Leah and brother-in-law Ryan, who read the poem earlier, babysat for us while we watched the musical. Again, we were so scared to leave her because she had never taken a bottle before, and just leaving her alone with anyone was just foreign to us. She slept the entire time. Didn't even need a feeder. And when we got a backstage tour with James, and Dawn went to check in on Celia. Next thing I know, Dawn is carrying her on stage. James' face just lit up. She was enamored with all the lights. It was just a memorable moment indeed. Everyone that met Celia instantly fell in love with her, like my sister said. One of the pictures in the slideshow that we're going to show is of a waiter at our table, so enthralled with Celia. He wasn't even our waiter, but that picture is exactly the kind of attention we got anytime we were out and about. After we got back from New York, we had to drive to Tahoe for the family wedding of Megan and Mike Bucci. Again, let me repeat, Celia hated cars. 3.5-hour car ride to Tahoe. Again, Celia was amazing the whole trip. This time we got to share it with her big sister, Sienna. Celia inherited my genes of being a little heater, so snow was not a problem for her. That's the only reason why Dawn married me as well. Celia never let us worry about her. I remember on a 2-month checkup, Dawn and I were in the waiting room, and Dawn comes over with this pamphlet, and she started to freak out because it stated that our daughter should be cooing at this point. And she asked me if I noticed her making any sounds or noises, and no, she never did anything like that. Then we go in to see Dr. McNeil, and she starts cooing like a champ. Dr. McNeil even said, "Wow, she's cooing a lot." And we just looked at each other, we're like, "She just started!" Same goes for when we were having trouble focusing her eyes. We went to Dr. Tanaka and to have her eyes checked for cataracts or anything that they might find, and nothing. And then she soon started to follow us and see us and eat our noses and show us that huge smile that she had. I was blessed that I got to spend the whole day with Celia the day before she passed. Everyone was sick except me, so I let Dawn sleep the whole day while I took care of the girls. I even went to Oakland to pick up our favorite deli sandwiches at Rados. It just so happens that my favorite board game store is next door. For those of you that don't know, I have roughly 750 board games. Celia was perfect the whole entire time except when we got into the board game store. I called her Mommy's little snitch. She was fine after we left the store, of course. Not empty-handed, though. Dawn was so mad when she finally got up in the evening because Celia was even sleeping in her swing for me while I cleaned the whole house. She was such a good girl for Daddy. The only time I saw Celia on the day she passed was in the morning. She was sleeping next to me and stretching with Dada as we woke up together. I wasn't with Dawn when she had to rush Celia to the emergency room. I rushed to the hospital and she was still alive. When I arrived, family and friends were already there. The doctors and nurses did an outstanding job of trying to keep our angel with us. It seemed like everyone was in this tiny room with our baby. We got to go inside when she was stable and spend time with her. Our daughter passed away 2 hours after I arrived. She came in not breathing. They normally stop after 15 minutes and 3 EpiPens. They used 5 EpiPens and a half hour to get her heart beating on its own. That half hour? That half hour is what I needed to be there. Even in death, near death, she gave me the gift of seeing her one last time. Now, I don't pray very often. I was raised Catholic all my life, and my wife is Christian. But I said every prayer I could think of, just so my daughter didn't have to suffer and to heal us. God answered those prayers tenfold. Bringing everyone here, and the amount of love we have received this past week and a half, we don't know what specifically Celia died of, not for a few more weeks. But the coroner called that same day to tell us what she found. Dawn was on the other line because we were going to donate her heart valves. I can't remember all the specifics the coroner was telling me, but I just kept saying thank you after each one because in the end, it wasn't our fault. Celia's brain wasn't developed as it should have been. Her heart was significantly larger than normal, and she even asked me if she could hear. And I told her the story of the hearing test, and how she barely passed, but that she was startled with loud noises and responded when we called her. And she couldn't fathom it because her ear canal bone structure didn't seem to be connected and was detached. Again, a sign that our daughter gave us nothing to worry about. I try to accumulate everything I said here in Celia's life in the next video montage. I will try and read the text written at the bottom so you can focus on the pictures. At the very end, there's a song called What Are Words by Chris Mendina. It's a song I've been singing to my girls since they were little, hoping I would sing it on their wedding days. As parents, you put blame on yourself when something bad happens to your children. Losing a child was devastating to our mental health. Thinking that, we didn't do enough, or that if we had brought her in earlier to the emergency room, would have made a difference. Nothing would have changed the outcome that befalls us today. I've always told people that when I pray, I normally just say thank you. Good or bad in my life, I'm grateful for it all. I couldn't be more grateful to God for letting my family love such a wonderful little girl. Again, my wife, Dawn, my daughter, Sienna, and myself, thank you for supporting us and helping us celebrate our angel, Celia.